So a lot of people have been asking me to make a video on how to use the wiltOS animation base as well as create their own hold types, and that's what I'm going to be doing in this video now. So the first thing you want to do is open up the context menu and click on the wiltOS viewer widget, ignoring the spazzing out fizz gun, and you'll get a menu that opens up with your model, a list of sequences, and the Holdtype Creator button. But I'll be going into that one later because I want to go over the general navigation of the main menu first. So in the main menu we have this list of all these sequences, and those are animations that are attached to the model. The wiltOS animation base allows you to mount different animations through extensions, and in this example we have the Blade Symphony extension as well as the experimental extension mounted on our player model. Now if we go ahead and click on one of these sequences, we get some information about what we're looking at. We have the sequence, which is the string name of the animation. We have the act ID, which is the integer number corresponding to the animation set. And we have the act name, which is the enumeration that corresponds to that ID. And we can right click on the window and use our movement keys to look around it, and use our sprint key to move quickly through it, although not too crazy there. So now we have the main menu under wraps. We can go over the Holdtype Creator menu, which was added in the layering update for the animation base. The Holdtype Creator menu was a menu specifically made to make it easier for people to make their own hold types in-game especially, and the base hold type is one of the most important parts of that process. The base hold type is the hold type that we'll use whenever a certain action does not have any custom action set to it via this little drop down here. And we can fill this in from multiple different hold types that exist. So clicking this little button, we can see the Gmod hold types starting, and then going more into the custom ones that were created via the animation base. So we can see here that we have the Advanced Lightsaber Attacking System hold types, the Blade Symphony ones, mounted on, and we'll be using that add-on to help test our own custom hold type. So we will choose a Melee 2 base hold type to start into that, and our hold type name is basically the name of the hold type that we'll use to load it. So we'll call it Greater Melee, let's say. And our hold type code is the one that we're going to be using in the swept. This is the one similar to our base hold type where we see Melee 2 or BS or etc. But we'll call it something unique so we don't override anything. We'll say greater dash melee because we're calling it greater melee. It's easy to remember. Finally, we have our actions, which are basically things that we'll be doing when we have a weapon, attacking, jumping, standing, running, etc. And these are things that we were going to want custom animations for to really compose our custom hold type. So I like to start with the idle standing because it's the first thing you do when you get a weapon. And since we're currently on the run lower sequence, you're going to want to change that to idle lower because we're on idle standing. And we'll just add that in by clicking on add selected sequence, and it's added there with the name and the weight. But let's say we don't want it. Let's go ahead and look for a different one that maybe we would prefer better than this one. So let's look. Let's go for the judge underscore R animation. We have a nice idle animation here that looks a little cooler than that one. So we're going to do the same procedure, click the animation, click add selected sequence, and then we'll need to remove the old one. And we could do that by right clicking on it, and we'll be given two options. One of them change weight, which is something I'll go into later. But we have remove. So that's perfect. So once that's removed, we're pretty much done with the idle animations, and we have the choice to go into the next idle animation, which is crouching. But because we want this for testing purposes, we're going to leave it blank, and what's supposed to happen is the base hold type is going to take over those animations. So we'll just leave that blank, and we'll go over to running, which is basically the next best thing that we're going to be doing while using a weapon. So with the running enabled, we're going to look for some running animations. Since we're using judge underscore R, we can go to judge underscore R run. And this looks just about right. It matches our idle sequence pretty well, so we're going to use this same procedure, click on it, and add the selected sequence. What I typically do is use the same animation for running as I do for walking, because the walking speed is slightly lower than the running speed. So we'll just re-add that, and that basically ensures a little seamless animation transitions between running and walking. But if you have particular animations, you don't need to follow that rule. And since we've done walking while standing, I have the choice to also do walking while crouching. But because the way we've designed this was to use the base hold type for all things that aren't standing, we will just go ahead and not touch the walk while crouching thing and really just jump right into the attacking sequences. So we'll go into attack standing, and we're going to look for some attack animations. You could do a couple of them and find the ones that are right. So we'll do the Judge R ones. We got left, which we can do easily. And then maybe we'll do the right one. And for mixing it up, we'll do the center one as well. And then we have these three here, which would be cycled automatically when attacking and randomly to give a little more diversity to the animations. We can right click on them and also do the same change weight, and this is really where the most important part will be when it comes to changing weight, but that will be in a supplementary video because there's a lot that goes into it. So we're gonna just maybe do a jumping animation to finish this off. I've cheated because I've used these animations a lot, so I know that the A prefix means it's an air, so we'll use A idle and add that selected sequence in. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we've got a nice hold type put together. We can continue looking through all these actions, but really it's up to you how creative you want to make these things and how you implement them. Anything that we don't include are automatically overwritten by the base hold type, and this is a good place to be. So we'll just, go down over to the print hold type, printed in console. You'll see that the chat box does say that the hold type has been printed in console, and we'll go ahead and open that up. And there it is. We have the code blocked nicely with the equal signs, and we'll just copy that whole area, and we'll go into the code level and actually implement this new hold type that we've created. What you're looking at here is the alas folder, and we're going to be using this because it's basically got all the directories we need. But for your add-on, you'll need a Lua folder, then a WAS folder, then an anim extension, and finally a holdtypes folder. And that is where your hold type file will be created. It'll be automatically loaded. You see it's empty here. So we're going to go ahead and create a new Lua file. I'll do it the old-fashioned way, but you can do it any way you want. So I'll right-click here, and I will create a new text file. And I will change the .txt over to .lua, so it becomes a Lua file. And of course, going to probably have to rename it because that's not a good name for it. Call it Greater Melee because that's what we called our hold type in the first place. So we'll click yes to that, and we'll go over in there to paste what we did. So we have the Notepad++ currently here, and we have the Gmod Lua linter on. Yours may not look like this, so don't panic if it doesn't. The important part is that you just paste in what you copied, and that's pretty much it. So just to make a little less panic, we're gonna change that to Lua instead of Gmod Lua, so that you could, this will probably be what you see in your linter if you're using it. Your name is there, and all that stuff is there, and that's pretty much it. We have everything that we need here. We have the title name, the hold type, the base hold type, all the sequences we've added, as well as their actions corresponding. All of these are the enumeration equivalents. And then towards the end we have our registration function, which just adds it to a table of hold types so that we can use for translations on our SWEP. But now we're going to need to actually save this and make this functioning. The hold type is created successfully, but now we need to add it to a SWEP to make sure it works. So we're going to go back and use the alas sabers to test our hold type. So we'll go back here, go to weapons, and I'm just going to copy one of these because I don't really want to rewrite all the code that I already did for these lightsabers. Just go ahead and rename it to, I don't know, lightsaber underscore greater melee, just because that's our hold type, and open that up. for semantics sake, I'm going to rename it to the greater melee saber, just because I don't want it to appear with the same name. And then this is the part where it's actually important, universal. We see that our swept.holdType here has BS judged balanced, and that's the code that we created before. So what we need to do here is replace that with the code we made. So we go back, we copy the was greater melee code, and then we just paste it in there. And that's pretty much it. We now have created a weapon that uses our custom hold type, and we could test it in Gmod. So the first thing you're going to be looking for here is the registration text that your hold type was successfully added. And you see it's called greater melee. I mean, maybe you can't see it, but you'll have to take my word there. And now we're going to test to see if the saber we made actually works properly. So we're going to go to the weapons tab, go to the technologies there, and pick the greater melee saber. And we'll see. Let's ignite. Our animation idle is there. Our running is a little bit quick, but that's because of the specific animation we chose. Now let's check our attacks. So we'll do a simple attack here, and that seems to be 1. Let's repeat it again. That's 2. Okay, we'll wait for the 3rd, and let's see. Yep, there we go. Alright, so the animations are all there for attacking, and we'll crouch to see if our base hold type is there, which it is, and we can attack here, and it'll just be our base hold type attack, because we never assigned anything to crouching and attacking. So everything seems to be okay. We've created a successful hold type. I hope this video was helpful, and if you'd like to complain about my $30 mic, go ahead and do it in the comments. Good luck everybody, and I hope to see some cool things come out of this now that you know how to do it.